I don't have huge animosity towards Dana or anybody in the UFC. So, I mean, anything is possible. There's been no such discussions. At this point, it's all about this resignation. So something needs to change. I tendered my resignation after having a face-to-face meeting with Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta, where I laid all this out in person 2.5 weeks before I left for South Africa. Told them exactly how I feel. The same discussion that we're having right now, I had with Dana and Lorenzo. From the Fedor offer and the money and all these things, there are other instances that I cited that, again, I don't want to get petty. It's not about that. So I gave them a chance to respond. I didn't understand why I got overlooked and not given a bonus in my last fight. I brought all those things to their attention and expected some sort of response. I got no response. I waited 2.5 weeks. I saw them all face-to-face again at the Anaheim show. I had my letter of resignation at that meeting face-to-face. I could have tendered it right there. But I wanted to give them the opportunity to respond to the things that I stated as issues for me. I got no response. And so I tendered my letter of resignation after that, 2.5 weeks later. So they were given every opportunity. I expressed face-to-face how I felt with them. And it's not about bashing. I'm not going to get into war words with Dana. Dana said some other things. He controls me and everything else. That it doesn't really matter. It's not about that. I have no hard feelings towards Lorenzo, and Frank certainly not. They've done a masterful job of using their connections and their influence to build this sport back up. Dana, although misunderstood and I don't agree with some of the things that he does, I don't think he's a bad guy necessarily. I think he wields a lot of power and a big stick, and he doesn't do that with the best of conscience all the time. But it's not about bashing Dana. I'm not going to get into a pissing match with Dana. That'd be stupid, and it's not really about that. It's just about how I feel as an athlete that's represented this organization for 11 years and done my very best to represent this sport, and feeling unappreciated for that. I talked to Dana and Lorenzo both on the phone yesterday. And those conversations weren't shouting matches. They weren't degrading in any way. I told them both, I'm not trying to hurt the organization. I'm not trying to burn the house down as it was put to me. I'm simply stating my feeling and where I'm at in this decision and why it was made, and pointed out that it's all the same stuff that I said to them to their face 6 weeks ago before all this happened. Both him and Lorenzo stated they'd at least like to sit down with me and talk, because on a moving forward basis, I still have fighters that I represent, still fighters that fight in the UFC, still going to be around the sport and deeply involved in the sport. I'm, like I said, not out casting stones and trying to create issues where there aren't any. If I'd have come out and made public statements inflammatory to the way I was being treated as an athlete while I was still planning on fighting and trying to negotiate contracts and do all those things, I think it would have made it worse. I think there would have been reprisals for those comments, and I went right to the people that can affect a change, non-public, and I resigned in a way that I thought would allow me to just go away. I wasn't trying to make a big stink about anything. I never stepped out and bashed anybody. I simply stated my feelings and why I was resigning. There were comments made, particularly by Dana, that they'd like me to come back, but like I said, I've given them the opportunity to respond to the things I put on the table, and no response was made, and anything could happen. I don't know. I felt this way for a long time. Finally, like I said, the straw that forced me to make a decision was knowing what a lot of other guys were being compensated with bonuses and so forth, and the offer to Fedor. He was being offered more in signing bonus than I'd ever been paid for a fight from another organization when I've been here 11 years with this company, trying to promote this company. And that was like the final slap in the face. And again, I'm not saying I wasn't going to ask for a renegotiation of my contract because of that, even if Fedor had signed. My loyalty has always been with the UFC. I was offered to fight Fedor over a year ago when I wanted to come out of retirement for $3 million in Bodog. This is more than I'd ever been paid for a fight. What did I do? I went to Dana and Lorenzo and told them, hey, this is what these guys are offering me to fight Fedor in their show. I would be interested in fighting again. They said, well, if you're interested in fighting again, we needed someone to fight Tim Sylvia, fight for the heavyweight championship with us. And that's what I did. I certainly have fights left in me. There's only really one fight that makes a lot of sense, and I would have hoped that that could happen in the UFC with Fedor. I don't think that's going to happen. No, I'm under a UFC contract for a minimum of 9 more months. I signed an 18-month contract with the UFC. So unless that fight happens in the UFC, it's not going to happen anywhere else for at least 9 months. Well, I think my actions, I've always kind of been a person of action. I'm not one to talk a lot or complain or chatter a lot about anything. And I've had this prevailing feeling for the entire time that Zuffa has owned the company. I think my actions have kind of said it all. I'm just tired of feeling this way, feeling like I give everything that I have to promote the sport and to promote the brand of the UFC, and underappreciated for that.